All right, guys, so today we're going to discuss high security key systems. Now, there's all kinds of types of high security key systems, and some of them are restricted keyways and some are open keyways and things like that. But I'm just going to stick to the few that we deal with, just kind of tell you generally how high security cylinders and keys systems work, and then show you a little bit of the inner workings of them. So, we carry here at Guardian Safe and Lock a Schlage Primus Classic system, which is the first system we bought into, I think one of the first ones, which is this system right here. So this is a Schlage Primus Classic is what this is called. A Schlage Primus Classic high security key. And on the other side you have the sidebar milling, and this is the number that's exclusive to this is the number of my key that's exclusive to this company. So when I order, these are my numbers. I know this is my company's key. And this sidebar pattern is specific to our company only. So in a high security key, you have your standard pins on top, and then you have like finger pins that interact with the sidebar. And when the finger pins line up, the sidebar comes in, and when the pins on top line up, that's flat on the shear line, and both turn and allow the cylinder to turn. So this is the Schlage Primus Classic. We have an Everest 29 Primus XP system as well. And then we also have a Everest 29, which is a restricted key system. So they all work in different formats. One of them works in SFIC specifically. One of them will work in small format and a regular standard cylinder. And some only work in standard cylinders. So they all have different variations, and just like if you were to go to Medico or anything else out there, they all have their own types of cylinders that they'll work in. And I'm sure they have many different ones as well. This is a little kit that I've got here from Allegion, since we're an Allegion partner. This kind of shows all the different formats: your standard key and knob cylinder, your SFIC cylinder, and your LFIC large format interchangeable core cylinder. All right. And then this kind of gives you like a side shot of what's going on inside the cylinder. You can see the sidebar right here. The finger pins are on the bottom down there. So when all those finger pins line up, the sidebar pulls in, and then when all the top line up in the shear line, it allows it to spin over. So these are basically cutaways, so you can see how they work. And on the Everest one, on the tip of the key, it has a little dimple cut in it so that it lifts this up. Instead of a whole sidebar, it's just a one pin that interacts with the sidebar. So there's all different variations of them, but usually there's your top pins, your sidebar, and your finger pins, and that's usually what most high security key cylinders are made up of. The cool thing about some of these cylinders with Schlage in particularly is they are modular. So if we needed to get a key and knob cylinder but needed it to be a mortise, then we would just get the color faceplate we need for a mortise, pop that in there, and then take the end cap and put that on there, screw it together, and then you have a mortise cylinder or a rim cylinder, and you can take this off and turn it into a regular tailpiece. So it has Schlage has modular kits where you can piece together all your cylinders. So you don't have to buy mortise cylinders and key and knob cylinders. You can just buy key and knob cylinders and have these modular pieces. You can have longer than the 1 1/8 if you need, 1 1/2 or whatever size you need. And you can just easily change out the faceplates for the colors. So it's really cool the little system that Schlage has. So I wanted to take you to a chart we have over here that shows you kind of an exploded view of what the inside of one of these cylinders look like. And then you'll see me kind of mess with it here. I'll kind of take it apart, look at it, show you how it works too. But I want to take you over to the exploded view so that you can see all the breakdown of what's inside of a high security cylinder. And the cylinder that we're specifically showing you, I believe, is just the Schlage Classic Primus cylinder. Okay, so this is just like a standard cylinder. It has your springs, your drivers, master pins if there's any, your regular bottom pins, which creates your shear line. And this is your housing, right? Your body. Then you have what makes a high security cylinder, which is the sidebar and 2 sidebar springs in the sidebar so we can move in and out. And then the springs that go up in the bottom of the chamber with the corresponding finger pin. When all these line up correctly, these little indentions line up correctly in there, then it lets this move in to all those indentions and move out of the way.
which creates the smooth surface on the outside, which allows us to turn inside the cylinder. As you can see, there's a divot right there. That's because the sidebar sticks in that divot, keeps it turning. Even if this was the match, if you don't have the keys cut on the side for the sidebar, then it won't pull out of that divot and allow the cylinder to turn. So let's go back and take a look.
All right. So I opened up one of my key and knob cylinders here. This is a key and knob cylinder for the Schlage Classic Primus system. So the system that uses this key right here. Now the cool thing about this system is you can put the whole perimeter on these high security key cylinders and then just have all regular standard Schlage SC4 6-pin commercial locks on the inside, and this will fit in and work in a regular Schlage SC4 cylinder as well as a Primus cylinder. So unlike other systems where you have to literally place every single cylinder in the whole building in order for that key to work on it, the cool thing about this is, say they have Schlage throughout the building and they have like 150 offices, and they're like, man, I can't buy 150 of these cylinders at $125 a pop, but I still want that protection. So all you have to do is put Schlage Primus on the perimeter of the building, and then key the inside up. It'll work inside the regular cylinders inside that are Schlage. As long as the inside cylinders are SC4 6-pin Schlage, then you can just replace all the perimeter cylinders with high security, and then all your interior doors can still work on a regular Schlage, and this key will work in both cylinders. So that's what's unique about this system and why I like this system so much, because most commercial buildings are Schlage. So it works out great because it's an easy way to, get your foot in the door with the customer. You get the perimeter secure. Now they don't have to worry about picking or drilling as much. And now they have restricted protection on the outside layer of the building. We're actually doing this with one of the hospitals right now. So this will fit into a regular Schlage cylinder, a 6-pin. It'll fit in a 5-pin too, but it just won't go in all the way because it's a 6-pin key. But I'm going to open this little plug up right here. This is what it looks like when it comes out of one of the boxes here. Give me a second. All right. So I'm going to bring that so you can see it. Right here is where the sidebar goes. That's where the pins go. Of course, top, this is shear line. This is where the sidebar goes. 2 springs, sidebar, and this is where the finger pins go right here in the bottom. So if you see, it's not like a normal plug. Now the top of it, the rest of the cylinder, the housing and everything is standard. Bible standard, everything's standard. So what you do, and these are just the tail pieces that come with it. The tail pieces and the little pin that goes in the back of the cylinder. This is universal parts because it depends on where you're putting it as to what tail piece you need. So key fits in here. It keys this up like a standard Schlage cylinder would too. So, a 1 cut on here is a 1 cut with regular Schlage. So, and I could take an SC1 and actually put it right in SC4 or SC1. This is SC1. So SC1, if you notice, cylinder. Ironically, I get a cylinder that's a little narrow because I was having a problem getting this one in for some reason. Which key is this? Oh, this is one of those knockoff. It's not an original brand. It's too fat. It's not going to fit in there. Let me see if I got one right here. What is this? Nope. All right. Well, anyway, I'll show you this anyway. It doesn't matter. If the keys fit into it, these keys will fit into an SC4 and vice versa. This one's a little narrower. If I see even the regular key, I'm having a hard time getting in there. There you go. It's just weird to line up sometimes. Anyway, so if I was doing this, I'd have to get my Schlage Primus pin kit, okay, which I have one, and then open that up, and it pins. You use the finger pins in the kit. The finger pins are for the bottom right here. So you use the Primus pinning kit only for the finger pins. You key the rest of the top up with your standard pin kit over here. So let me grab that Primus pin kit really quick, and then I'll show you how that works. Okay, so real quick, I just remembered the standard regular SC1 SC4 will not fit into the Primus core. I don't know why I was trying to do that. The Primus key will fit into it, and the Primus key will fit into a standard core, which this is a standard core right here. So this is a standard core I just got out of the box. a regular old Schlage, regular Schlage key. As you can see, the regular Schlage key goes right into it, right? Wrong key for it, but here it is. There you go. So the regular Schlage key goes into it. The Primus key will also go into it. Now, the Primus key will fit into the Primus cylinder. You know, it's weird. But the regular Schlage will not fit into that. So you put the perimeter on Primus keys, and you cut Primus keys. And even though they're going to be using, even though they need keys for the interior doors, you cut the interior door keys on a Primus key, because the Primus keys will work in the regular Schlage keys. So that's how you do it, okay? So it's really easy to convert someone over to high security when you don't have to change everything. You just have to change the perimeter. And then later you can come back and do everything, which is actually what we did with one of the hospitals here. They wanted to just quickly secure the perimeter because they lost a master. And then they wanted to come back and do the interior. So a Schlage Primus key, classic Primus key, will fit into a standard Schlage cylinder. The regular Schlage key will not, an SE1 and SE4 will not fit into a Schlage Classic Primus cylinder. So it's too narrow. Okay, so I've got my pin kit here, Schlage Primus. This is my finger pin kit. So we have a close-up either way, wherever you want to do it. So here's the kit, okay? Now, whatever you get, they give you your cuts for the sidebar. They'll say, oh, your sidebar milling is 45633, right? And that means every single one of these to match the cuts on this sidebar here, then I'd have to use those specific finger pins that coordinate with these cuts. So you have to know what your cuts are for your sidebar, and then every time you put those exact finger pins in. So I know what mine are for this. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in. I'll show you what happens. I'll just go ahead and put the sidebar in and show you how that works, how the finger pins go in and everything, because you already saw the exploded view. So on mine here, this first one should be a 2. So you have your sidebar springs and you have your finger pin springs. Okay, this is for the Schlage Primus pin kit. Now, the sidebar springs are the really, really tiny ones. And those really tiny ones, I'll show you on this small camera here. These springs go inside of that finger pin. So there's a little dimple in that, and that little spring goes inside of that dimple, like that. Okay, so what you do is, my first one is a 2, for instance, right? So I would put in the little spring, which it needs to be the finger pin spring, sorry. So finger pin spring goes inside of the finger pin. It's hard to see in this camera. So I got a finger pin spring, and it's going into that finger pin right there. Well, it goes into that dimple right there, okay? Oops, there we go. So what I'm gonna do, and I'm not gonna key this whole cylinder up, I'm just gonna show you if you wanna zoom in here real quick. Things get all wrapped up on each other, can't pull them apart. Sorry, it takes a minute, these springs, there you go. So you take, say the first finger pin's a 2. Well, then I drop this finger pin spring right into the bottom of the finger pin. It's in that little crevice now. And I take the number 2 finger pin, which I have one right here in front of me, right? And then it has like an L shape like that. See it? It goes in just like this. So the L kind of faces inwards toward the bottom where the key goes in. And see, even notice when I push on it, it's springy, right? So that's the first one, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and put another one in there. You put your, and you have a cradle here too, so I'm gonna go and use this cradle. So you slide this in right here so it's easy to work with. So I'll leave that there. And then I would just take the next 2 and put that in there, and then put the finger pin there. Okay, so there are 2 finger pins sitting in there, right? And put the next one in. Man, these little springs just get all tangled up. You lose half of them before you even get to use them. Let's see here. Wow. All right, any day now. You have to twist them off each other sometime. Oh, there we go. All right, now drop that back in there again. Okay, drop the next finger pin in there. All right. So put that there. And then I'm going to use the last two right here. So one's there, and I'll grab the spring I dropped. Perfect. So I put the last two springs in the bottom two finger pins. There we go. And then I'm going to put the last two finger pins in there. Okay. Now leave that there. And then leave that finger pin in there. Okay. So now, if you zoom in, and I can give you a closer view right here if you want. You can see all those. You can see that lint. There you go. So there's the finger pins, right? And they all kind of bounce. Okay? So, see it? So now, I've got the finger pins in, but I need to hold those in place. So I'm going to turn them all kind of straight, get them out of the way real quick. Let me try getting a key in there. That'll help. Okay. Okay. There you go. Once you get the finger pins, and you can get your finger on them and hold them out of the way. Okay, so I'm holding the finger pins in. Then you have your sidebar springs. Now, sidebar springs, you drop in right here. You want to zoom in? I'm putting it right there. My first sidebar spring. And there's my second sidebar spring. And then I have my sidebar. And then that goes right there. So I'm going to hold all that in place real quick while I slide the key in. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to zoom right here so you can see it. So only if the right sidebar pattern with the right finger pins are correct, then this bar right here that you can see will go flat down, which it is. You can see I'm moving it down. Oops. Sorry. You can see right there. Sorry, right there moves down. So because everything lines up, I can get it to go completely flush. Okay? So that's how the finger pins and sidebar works. So, and then besides that, you would just key the top, and then you'd have the sidebar flushly pulled in, all the pins line up flush, and then everything would turn smooth in the cylinder. But if you have the wrong sidebar pattern, or you just stick a regular, or you stick the wrong key or whatever in there, then the sidebar will stay out like that, and it will not allow it to turn, even though all the pins match up on top. So that's why you have two steps to protect it, basically. You have to match here, and you have to match here. So it's very hard to fake those. And you see the sidebar, how it moves out of the way? I'll pull the key halfway out, and now it won't go in all the way, see? Because it's not right, because I pulled the key halfway out. Now it goes in. So anyway, that's kind of how that Schlage Primus cylinder goes together. So basically, and then some of these, there's restricted keyways, there's open keyways. Restricted keyways are not stocked by commercial locksmiths, and they have limited distribution, giving end users a higher degree of key control. Open keyways are limited to commercial distribution only and allow fast and easy key duplication when needed. So there's differences between restricted and open keyways and high security keyways. Like for instance, I have a CX5 system. This was the actual first system I did. It has a little sidebar pin. I'll show you how this works. So CX5 was the first high security key system I got. It's technically a high security key system, but it's more of a restricted, I would say, because in order to, if you're a company and you want to have this key system, they have like 2 or 3 keyways. Like this is the YJK keyway, right? So say they have 2 or 3 different types of keyways. In order to get this keyway, you have to, like, whatever the program is, say it's buy $800 in products. So I got to buy $800 in cylinders and keys from them, or whatever I want to get for $800. Then, because I spent that money buying into their system with inventory, they make me sign an agreement saying, you need to stamp all your keys. So I have to have a stamp that says Guardian Safe and Lock, put it on there. That way, if someone else runs across it who has CX5, who sells CX5, who has the exact same keyway as you, since there's only 3, another locksmith company, he will, I can't cut this because you're already in agreement with this customer here. You need to call him, and he has to do it. Otherwise, you're caught grabbing other people's customers, and they'll take it away from you and say you no longer can sell this system. So this is kind of your first step in the high security key systems. I got this one because I can give it as a solution for a business owner that wants to have it where their employees just can't go get a key made. Now, he could technically find the right locksmith. Well, if he finds a locksmith, you should be on the list because we're supposed to keep a list of who's able to get keys made. That's part of our agreement. We sign up, we tell the customer who's allowed to get keys made, we put their name and phone number down in the system. If someone comes in the key, we say, what company are you with? We look up the company name and say, oh, what's your name? Oh, you're not on the list. I'm sorry, I got to call your boss and tell him that you're trying to make keys. So we have that list of who's allowed to get keys made. But you basically buy into this system, but anybody can buy into it. There's only 2 or 3 keyways, and it's kind of like a restricted. And it has its own sidebar pattern for each keyway too. But the Primus Classic, that is a true high security key system. And then you have some restricted ones like the Everest 29 over here. That same thing. There are some locksmith companies that have, not a lot, most don't, but some people have bought into it. So anyway, most of the time, if you're talking about high security key systems with a customer, then it's basically just because you're trying to help them with key control, or trying to help them with unwanted duplicates being made, or you want to also, you get that as well as the cylinders are made like so that they're very hard to drill or pick. So it gives you extra security against picking and drilling, which would be a theft. And then it gives you extra security against key duplication. So anyway, hopefully this taught you a little bit about high security key systems and cylinders and how they work. But yeah, most of them have the same thing, a sidebar, your regular pins, your sidebars, and your finger pins. And just like the exploded view that I showed you earlier, that breaks it all down. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to leave them below. We appreciate you tuning in as always. Thanks for the support. We're getting nearly, we're about 4,500 subscribers now, almost. And don't forget, we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the social media platforms. We appreciate the support as always, and thanks for tuning in.